It's 9 minutes before 11 o'clock. We're getting reaction to this announcement made by John Steenhuisen that he will not be seeking re-election at the party's elective conference in April. Dean Macpherson is the KZN provincial chairperson, but also a former campaign manager for John Steenhuisen, joining us on the line. Dean, thanks for making time. Hi.
Hi, Clement. Thanks for having me.
I think I may have seen your comment on News 24 yesterday saying it's not true that John is not going to seek re-election. Was it you?
Well, that comment was given a few days before, and obviously things have been fluid, and I respect the decision that John has made. I think that he has contributed enormously to where the DA is today. It's fundamentally a different party than the one he inherited in 2019. Today we are no longer a regional party, we're no longer a provincial party, we're a party of national government. And what John has done in those 6 years is remarkable, in that he's chosen to say that actually I think we need someone else now to take us to the next level is the sign of a remarkable leader who understands that nothing in politics is permanent. And so I really welcome and support his decision wholeheartedly.
Why do you think he changed his mind? Because it appears like, as you say, things have changed over the last couple of days. I mean, Lindsay Deintlinger was telling us earlier that the last conversation she had with John Steenhuisen, he was almost adamant that he is going to run again. What do you think changed his mind?
Well, I think that, John has also keenly wants to get ahead of this foot and mouth disease outbreak that is sweeping across South Africa. He wants to focus his entire attention to that. The farming community is incredibly important to him. He has deep links to agriculture. And so this is a very personal issue that he wants to dedicate all of his time to. And he's stated boldly that he wants to be the first minister in the history of this country to defeat FMD entirely, so that we never have these outbreaks. And so the worsening position of that, I think, has weighed heavily on him. And that, we also know that these local elections are going to be incredibly taxing on time. And so I think that formed a big part of his reason as well. And I think that that's the correct decision that he's taken.
But I suppose what I'm trying to figure out is, when did it become this big of a priority that he doesn't want to split his time between, running a campaign for the Democratic Alliance and also, dealing with this foot and mouth disease outbreak? If he was so adamant a month ago, what happened between then and now that changed his mind? And I'm asking that question because there is a suggestion that he has been asked to actually not seek re-election by some within the Democratic Alliance.
Well, I can tell you categorically that is false. And if that was true, I would know about it. John has been in discussion with a number of colleagues that he trusts, and I can tell you that is not one of the reasons. In politics, Clement, your views are inclined to change as the circumstances and the prevailing winds of an issue evolve. And we've seen a worsening of the disease. On Friday, I know that he'll be taking a stock of the first vaccines manufactured in this country for more than a quarter of a century that's happened under him. And so all of those things have said to him that actually this is where I need to focus on. I have, as he termed, I have achieved everything I set out to do in my term of leader. And now I need to go and defeat this disease once and for all. And allow the party to choose a new leadership to take it to even greater heights than which he's built for us.
And a new leader could come and remove him as Minister of Agriculture, and he doesn't get to actually sort out this foot and mouth disease outbreak. I mean, unless he's assuming that whoever is going to come in is somehow going to keep him as Agriculture Minister.
Well, let me tell you, in the DA, we don't do backroom deals like that. If you support me, I'll do this. Of course, that's always a possibility. We serve at both the pleasure of our party and of the president, who's the head of the executive, and that's possible for any one of us. But that is not a lingering thought in his mind. I think that he has given his entire adult working career to party that he loves so much, the DA. And I certainly commend that. I've learned a lot from him. I've learned a lot about loyalty, about hard work, and clarity of purpose. And I think that John will go down as a leader that in years to come, South Africans will be grateful at our party.
Yeah. Dean Macpherson, thank you for coming through. DA, KZN Provincial Chairperson, a former campaign manager for George, quite a close friend of John Steenhuisen. Lukhona Mnguni is a political analyst. Lukhona, thank you for your patience in holding. What do you think? Were you surprised? And what do you think all of this tells us about what's been happening behind the scenes over the last couple of days?
Well, Clement, good morning, and good morning to your listeners. I mean, a tad bit surprised that John is categorically pulling out of the leadership race. I mean, if you look at the manner in which he states his achievements and the runway that he has set up the DA, I mean, effectively he's saying, I've set up the DA to be on a runway to become the largest party and therefore the leader of government in 2029. But at the same time, I don't want to be that leader of government in 2029. And I think that therein lies the crux of the matter. Crux of the matter is whether or not some within the party, including from funders, from former leaders, from current leaders, truly believe that John Steenhuisen is a statesman and appears to be that, and maybe they need a leader who may well embody those characteristics. And I think that for me is very, very important, one. Two, I think it tells us a lot about, I mean, I hear what Dean is saying to you. I don't think it's true. I think there has been a lot of backroom conversations, particularly after that explosive interview of Deon George when he resigned. I mean, Deon George is a veteran in the DA for all intents and purposes, and of course it would have made a number of establishment people sit up. But I had seen that moment as John having won that round. He won that round. Maybe he lost the broader fight because he was utilizing his powers as leader very effectively. He was aware of the authority that he has over the party. And what is going to be interesting, though, for me moving forward is whether or not John will seek to knight the next leader, as Helen Zille sought to knight her successor. And will this be an end of an era for Helen's influence? And I mean, I remember we've had this conversation, and Helen was on the line, Clement, when we had this conversation together, and she was denying, that, she has an influence over the party, which I still vehemently deny. That she doesn't. But the choreography of today's press briefing was quite affirmative of John's base in KwaZulu-Natal. And the last part, Clement, which I think we can explore another day because of time, is simply to say, it's an interesting era for the influence of KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa's politics. Is this an end of an era for KwaZulu-Natal in the ANC in terms of its dominance, in the DA in terms of how KZN has dominated influence over DA politics, in the electoral outcomes in terms of how the EFF declined in 2024 in KwaZulu-Natal. So it's interesting what to make of this province and its populace and where the political future lies, particularly. And I think for me that's an interesting thing to also think about. And it's not quite clear for me who then comes after John Steenhuisen.
Lukhona Mnguni, political analyst. Thank you.
Hanging out with Clement
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.